Hi, I'm Ron Visconti, the Executive Director of Phase 2 Careers, and I'm here with Randy Block, Executive and Career Coach, and we're doing a series on ageism. Last module, we talked about the what of ageism. Today, we're going to talk about assets. What assets do older workers, experienced workers bring to the workplace? Randy, do you want to tell us a little bit about, we talk about the negative, but here's an opportunity to talk about the positive. What are some of the positives that you could mention about the experienced worker?
Yeah, Ron, and since so many of my clients are over age 55, I've had the similar conversation with them, and to remind them, that by and large, a lot of older execs or older workers, they have leadership skills that they've honed. With all due respect to the younger generations, they're working on also aspiring to be good leaders, and so this is an opportunity for them to get it firsthand about what it's like to work for a leader, and et cetera, and to develop themselves. Um, I've also found that it's not like boomers are just starting. Refer to as boomers, but that they're just getting started in their careers. But pretty much boomers know what they want and what they don't want. They get that through experience, through being in the workforce this whole time. The boomers have a tendency, older workers have a tendency to be very loyal. They stick around. They're not jumping from company to company, building their career, which some of them might have done early on. But now, no, they're much more on loyalty. All the boomers that I've coached, and there's been a lot of them, they have a really strong work ethic, and that they really want to do a good job, and they show up on time, and they take their work very seriously. And remarkably, most boomers come with good networks. Let's face it, they didn't get along. They didn't get their own career developed uh, on their own. No, they needed to have a pretty good network as well. So those are the chief ones, Ron, that I see, that the chief assets that I see that the older worker brings.
Now, you referred to, we have five generations of workers in the
Yeah, we
workplace
do.
today. Where does the baby boomer fit into that? And you mentioned leadership skills. How can that be leveraged as an asset on the part of the baby boomer?
Well, clearly, there are a lot of boomers out there who are no longer managers per se. There's a wealth of leadership, and I don't want to go sideways on the differences between leadership and management, but leadership's mainly more about influence, mainly more about developing people, et cetera, whereas a manager gets it done no matter what. And so a lot of Gen Xers and millennials, for that matter, are looking for that kind of guidance. And so basically, yeah, the boomers, other than just being what we call an extra pair of hands to get something done, boomers bring an element of wisdom, and they can also mentor the younger people in helping them with their own careers, going, say, from a manager to a leader.
Now, I've been reading lots of reports. There's a retirement exodus, and
Hmm.
there's a talent shortage in the U.S. How come baby boomers aren't part of the solution? What's your thoughts on that? Couldn't we be part of the solution?
Well, we talked a little bit about this last time. Yeah, we can, but I'm afraid they're seen as too expensive to hang on to. They're title conscious. They don't want to get their hands in it. I do think boomers, by and large, uh, they may not want to do a particular job hands on, but they certainly would consider another job, another kind of job, where they could be more hands on. There'd be a certain amount of learning, certainly, but they'd be highly motivated, highly self-propelled to be successful in this other position.
Well, there's a big trend towards DEI, diversity,
Mhm.
equity, and inclusion, and a lot of federal laws that were created to protect the older worker, like the ADEA in 1967, seem to be abandoned. How come we're not having more discussion of age in the diversity realm?
Well, I think first of all, diversity really needs ageism to round out. With we talked about gender, we talked about race, etc. I think that ageism, if you will, or needs to be right up there. The older worker needs to be right up there. It's almost ridiculous the wealth of experience and knowledge, how that should be ignored under the guise is that we really can't afford it. So I oftentimes I will think that this is an excuse to hire a younger person who will work an 80-hour work week and do what's necessary. But I think with the talent shortage, et cetera, they could be perhaps companies could be hiring somebody where they maybe don't need the 80-hour work week. They need someone that will come in and do this part of the work. Because they're motivated and they want to help. They want to help out. It's just being ignored. I just can't believe. I don't buy I'll tell you what, Ron. I don't buy the worker shortage or the talent shortage. I just don't. Yeah, we can look at maybe engineering. I read this morning where there's a shortage of iCloud engineers. Okay, that's a technical piece. There can be a shortage of nurses. Okay, I get that. But beyond that, I think it's a bunch of hooey. I don't think a lot of employers are really looking at what's possible and what's probable if they were to tap into the older generation. Definitely.
Now you bring up a good point, that we are big consumers. Baby boomers are big consumers. We have $1 trillion. And plus we're driven by marketing and sales and consumerism. Aren't we part of the solution with the whole
Yes. Quite a market. We represent. I say we because I'm a boomer. We represent quite a market that needs to be tapped, and it's not just. Do you have enough money in your retirement? Do you, what about your health? I mean, there are other things. Boomers, by and large, a 65-year-old boomer today has more energy and more mental capacity than a person who was 50 a person who was 50 about 20 years ago. My point is that no, what the right boomers, some boomers have to work. We're living longer. We're keeping our mental faculties up a lot, much more up to date. We're a lot sharper, and it may not always show up in form of a full-time permanent position in terms of the solution. And we'll talk more about this in our final interview, or excuse me, final video about what can be done on both sides, of taking advantage of this tremendous talent wealth, segment of talent that's just not being untapped right now, or being tapped right now. Excuse me.
So you mentioned tapping talents, and it comes to mind, and you referred management versus leadership.
Mm-hmm.
The whole piece of mentorship. There was the movie with Robert De Niro, older worker that comes in as an intern. Do you want to comment on that, about the whole capacity of experienced workers being great mentors?
I think a lot of it has to do with timing. That in my profession, it's hard to coach someone who doesn't want to be coached. So you can't force somebody to take mentoring when they don't want it. But I think if we look at it now, how we've evolved, that I mentioned earlier, the evolution of individual contributor to manager to leader. I think my son Jeremy had mentioned to me, Dad, I think we're ready to start forming relationships more face to face and more on a personal level. We just simply having more difficulty doing it by technology. Not that he represents everybody by saying that. The point is that we know what it takes to create a good relationship in the hiring process, what it takes to retain a customer. Okay, I mean, we know how that works. Yeah, maybe there is technology involved, fine, but we also know about the personal connection and how important that is. So when it's time, and I like to refer to Wisdom at Work by Chip Conley. He has lots of examples where companies in his book, Wisdom at Work, show that they have tapped into the what the management, leadership, mentoring kind of, or coaching even, kind of wealth of experience that they can that will help the Gen Xers and the millennials reach their career goals, because they're still climbing the corporate ladder, not boomers. Boomers can help with some of those intangible skills. Yeah, those intangible skills. Yeah, transformative skills.
You know, I want to bring up another question or point. It seems to me that older workers or baby boomers, they're at the critical point of knowledge transfer. That there's lots of industries that need to have us because we're going to be the link to the old world and new ways to doing things. Do you have any comments about any industries that rely on that?
Industries, well, certainly, the IT business, or the information business. But we can probably go through almost any industry, at all. Hospitality, we can go through all of it. And I see basically this is happening, period. Again, high tech, low tech, non tech. They're really they're losing a lot by, oh, we're going to lay off these people because they're too expensive. Well, there goes maybe the recipe on a technology. There goes knowledge and experience and judgment that you could have been using to go forward as a company, or as, I should say, as an organization in general.
No, there's a lot of lost opportunities. Randy, yeah. We missed any points? We've covered a lot of ground in this short time. Is there anything that we should address related to assets that we haven't?
Well, I think the most important thing is that the older worker sees themselves as an asset. They don't just get it cognitively, but they get it in the heart too, that I believe that I have leadership skills. I do have a good work ethic. I do have a strong network, and we can go through all of it. And they believe that, and so this strictly helps them be more focused and have higher self-esteem when they're talking to an employer. We will talk more about how in the next video, about how they would do it, but for now they have to believe it, because if they don't believe it, why should I mentioned to many clients, if you don't believe this, why should I?
No, good point. But we wanted to talk today about assets because it's important. And the baby boomer or older worker, experienced worker has both attributes, experiences, life skills that are going to be invaluable to employers.
Definitely.
Thank you for the conversation today about assets.
You bet. Until next time, huh? Take care.